Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to this special Halloween edition of Skeptic Haven's The Global Atheists. We invite you for a lively panel discussion as we discuss everything spooky, kooky, and ooky. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road.
Welcome to Skeptic Haven. If new or old and you want to support us, remember you can help us in many ways. The obvious to help keep the lights on through Patreon and Super Chats. Without spending anything, you can also notify yourself for the shows coming up so you don't miss them. Comment in the comments section. Interaction helps promote our videos on YouTube. Share the video on your social media to get your friends to come watch with you. And of course subscribe and click like button.
You scared the living shit out of me.
I was scared. I was scared. Yeah. I was not expecting that. So, yeah.
Oh, memories from a car.
Good evening, good day, guys. How are you all doing? Very nice to see our Skeptic Haven crew on board. Some friendly new faces, some old returning faces. Yeah, so today is all about Old Hallows Eve, I believe it's called. So we are going to get an education and we're going to play some Q&A and, just have a good old time.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome.
Let's do it. We're big fans of the of the demented and twisted, the evil, and isn't that right? We're all atheists here, right? We all hang out with the devil regularly, right? Okay, I thought so. I didn't know. I don't know what you guys do on a Friday night, but me and a bunch of demons last night just really having a good time.
I was there. Yeah.
Good old witch Sabbath, of course.
Yeah, right.
They even pay our rent, so that works too.
I know. They're very, very friendly bunch. They'll bend over backwards, literally.
Yeah,
And they have some great baby recipes too. They have the best baby recipes.
Oh my god!
I got the best roast baby recipe at the orgy in the forest yesterday. It was so tender.
Yeah. If you ever get the opportunity to be involved in an orgy in the forest or a witch coven sacrifice, you're definitely going to want to make sure to bring a notebook to write down some of those recipes, like really high quality finger foods there.
So I take it you have also been dealing with TikTok lately?
Yeah. It's that time of year. Everybody just gets all up in arms about the demons that are coming for you, and I don't know. I haven't seen one.
For those of us who are, who do not have this holiday in our culture, I'm probably the only one on the panel who falls in that category. Besides Hein might have some European influence of that as well. But can anybody give us a brief rundown of where does Halloween come from and what is the reason behind the holiday? Why do people celebrate it? What do people typically do, etc.?
I think it's a Celtic holiday, isn't it? That comes from, it's supposed to be the weakening of the barrier between the dead and the living, or the spirit realm and the living. And so you dress up as spirits and evil things to hide from them, I think, or to scare them. I don't remember which, and it may depend on the culture.
Yeah, a little of both.
As so many things do. And it has devolved into putting kids into sugar comas, and some people, are no longer aren't dressing up; they're dressing normally, while other people do in fact dress up. So kind of depends. And
it's happening. Yeah,
there's a little bit of as so many of our holidays, these days are. There's a little bit of a, organized kind of structure-y part, in the history of Halloween. So there was a tradition in the Western, version of Christianity for many years of this kind of day where we honor the saints. right? And this becomes All Saints Day. This will, it bounces around the calendar for a while. Eventually we'll kind of pick a spot that we like, and that spot, kind of also has a history too. It coincides with a lot of ancient, more pagan, more non-traditional and non-structured organizations when it came to how they would celebrate nature, the days getting shorter, the harvest coming in, those types of things. And so, eventually those two would just kind of solidify into a single day. That's like right smack dab in the middle of autumn for us here in the northern western hemisphere type stuff. And yeah, now we oftentimes do a bunch of very silly things, like bobbing for apples is a thing that is often shown at the very least. But I can honestly tell you guys, I've never once fucking done that in my life. I've never once been to a Halloween event where somebody has like a bucket with water and apples floating in it, and then is like, hey, go for it. I've never seen that, but it apparently is referenced all the time. So I don't know. Maybe it was a cool thing they did 100 years ago.
I feel like that was like an activity that like it sounds like something that a parent like came up with because like they forgot, like they didn't call the clown that was supposed to come to the birthday or whatever. It's like, we got apples. I don't know. Stick their head in a bucket or something. I don't know. That is fun though. I enjoyed it. Just to hope that just don't get the ones with the razor blades in them. That kind of kills the whole vibe of the game.
Yeah. And now it's so gross to have everybody's mouth trying to grab the same apples as everybody.
Right.
No.
Right.
Very sanitary.
Right.
Yeah.
Like so gross. Yeah. If the Backstreet Boys reunion tour a few years ago didn't end that practice worldwide, hopefully, I don't know. Don't bob for apples. It's not worth it. It's not as fun as it looks. Do other things. Just eat candy.
You could try bleach. Fill it up with bleach and then.
And if you choose to do, you got to get your shots before you go.
Yes.
And from the Latino perspective, too, you also have Dia de los Muertos, which I don't know, maybe Theo, you can enlighten, but I know that there's some of that ancestral spirits, honor to them.
I think, and your internet is cutting down a little bit. But yeah, in Mexico, they do celebrate Dia de los Muertos, which is an interesting celebration. It's mostly about the All Saints. The celebration of All Saints is a Catholic celebration that is brought to Latin America in order to celebrate, the day when people remember the deceased ones. And that's what most people have in Latin America instead of the Halloween that you celebrate over there. In Mexico, however, it was combined with pre-existing traditions that were in Mexico, and they mixed it with the Catholic tradition. They brought this idea of the Katrina, which is how to call her. She's kind of like a goddess of the underworld, but they tried to mix her with Virgin Mary, so they made something strange over there, and all this mixture turned up into the Dia de los Muertos that is celebrated in Mexico. Wish Alma was here. She's always talking about that because she really loves the thing, and what I know it from her.
I think she's on the way. She just messaged saying she's on her way.
Alma, we're waiting for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how these celebrations have been intertwined. Because as Secular said, Halloween started in Europe with the Samaline, I think it is.
Samhain. It's spelled very differently than it is pronounced. Yeah. Pronounced Samhain.
Okay, in Spanish it's Samaín. So I will pronounce it in Español, El Samaín. So the Samaín that was brought by, I think it was Irish people, that they brought the tradition. And I know that it was the idea of going by candies because of some pranks that were around, like doing some pranks and throwing eggs. So people started trying to control this. And so they put it together in only one night. And then that came down to Mexico, where they tried to mix it with the Dia de los Muertos. But it's kind of a barrier in there. So down here in the rest of Latin America, we only know this well, now the celebration is being done here, and you have all the Christians groups trying to oppose it because, you know, apparently deaths don't get revived. So they say that, and pretty ironic. So a lot of groups are trying to stop it. You know, evangelical groups, Jehovah's Witnesses will celebrate anything that is fun. And so right now it's kind of trying to get imposed celebration in here. It's trying to start, still seen as something for children. Some adults are starting to celebrate it as well in offices, you know, at the company. So some small places are doing that, but still it's seen as something foreigner. And we have the joke like, oh yeah, we are not going to celebrate these foreigner traditions because Christmas is obviously from Latin, of course.
Yeah. And just like Teo was pointing out there, and Jim had mentioned earlier, you know, different variations of similar festivals, right, will occur in different cultures, and some of those cultures will be more fearful of this time of day because these demons come to get you, and you better watch out. Now, just in case anybody here is brand new and hasn't seen the rest of the stuff we do, demons aren't real. Don't worry about it. But other cultures are more reverent in a sense. It's more about the idea of bridging that gap between the physical world and the spiritual world. Again, I don't think that's real, but to honor and kind of look back at ancestors and people that have passed and kind of help those spirits move on and stuff. So yeah, it kind of depends on where your culture comes from. Definitely, I can tell you a lot of people in the South here in the US have a very, you know, don't do that because then the devil will get you type feeling to it. So
I've been very surprised here in Southern Alabama to see how many trunk or treats are happening at churches and being sponsored by churches now.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're supposed to be safer for the kids and that kind of nonsense.
I'm so
Oh, you're cutting in and out again, Ann.
You're cutting in and out. Looks like your camera fell.
Yeah. But yeah, so the trunk or treat is for anybody that's not familiar, it's trick or treat is the standard kind of thing that happens a lot around these parts where essentially, as strange as it may sound to some people, but yeah, basically just a bunch of kids oftentimes will dress up in costume and run around various neighborhoods and, you know, walk up to people's doors and the people will give them candy. And that's what we do. So trunk or treat is like
I was always fascinated by this whole trick or treat phenomenon. And I was the one day I asked myself, would the kids really be that happy if somebody gave them a trick instead of a treat?
So it's actually a threat. It's actually a threat.
Yeah.
So it was the origins of trick or treat come from the concept of like on this night in years past, what people would do is kind of like, you know, silly little mischief stuff that doesn't like ruin anything, but also like, you know, kind of want like throwing eggs at your window or TPing somebody's trees, right? Like not the end of the world, but also like, hey, you shouldn't do that. So it was like either give us candy. Exactly.
So it's basically like
I wanted to talk about that because I always like to talk about how random history is, and the history of trick or treat is quite interesting because it was during the Depression in the USA in the 1920s that it was a way of, you know, from children that were bored and all of that they started tricking people, and this went for a long time, so they started trying to put it in only one night. And the trick or treat thing appeared on magazines in 1939. 1939. And that is when the phrase started being used around. But it was just because of the Depression. And it's, for me, so ironic how the celebrations come mostly out of depression. The Great Depression in the USA brought us the trick or treat and candies all around. Because, you have to pay these children so they stop hurting you, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of sad at the same time.
think that
This is hilarious. I saw an Instagram reel where a church did a haunted house with the main theme being the rapture. Very disturbing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I remember seeing those. Yeah,
Hell
it's like-
houses are a different thing than haunted houses. Yeah. Haunted
Come on.
houses are fake places that people try to scare you in like a fun manner. Hell houses are places where churches are actively trying to convert you to Christianity by telling you, look how bad hell is and the devil. Shit.
and how easy you could die. There's always like a car crash at the beginning, and then like the good people go to heaven and the bad. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
My question is, why the hell do they try to use the rapture when they literally have a freaking zombie nailed to a crossing there? Zombies,
Yeah.
man.
Well,
Yeah,
no, he's not
yeah.
a zombie. He's a lich.
That's right. That is, there's,
He's
No,
a
no,
lich,
no,
not a
he
zombie.
died and then he was alive. He's a zombie.
Right, but he's a magic user, so he's a lich.
It's a
Zombies don't use
subcategory.
magic. Yeah,
Oh, okay,
zombies don't
okay.
use
Did,
magic.
did
Liches
he
do.
literally made a spell in order to become get resurrected, or he was just dead and suddenly his body came back to life? Because
This is-
liches have to go through a ritual and they have to create a huge spell and absorb energy and all of that. Jesus never did that.
That's what he
just
did,
died.
right?
Well,
No,
There
that's
was
what
some
he
magic words or something said.
somebody
yeah.
said, probably said something.
Oh, right, but he was magical from before, so you may have a point in there.
Yeah.
Even from the chat, Jesus, zombie or leech? You have
Yeah.
the final word.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Give us your
Yeah.
thoughts. Give us your thoughts.
And that's lich. That's LITCH, right?
Uh-huh.
Not
LICH.
Double E as in the
There's
blood
no T.
There's no
There's
T.
no T. It's
just
LICH.
LICH.
Okay.
Okay.
My most
No,
embarrassing moment.
LICHE. There's an E on the end.
One of my most embarrassing moments is writing leech as a leech. You know, the animal that sucks blood. I thought.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was
Yeah.
So for a
There's
long
that
time, I
too,
thought that
but-
in World of Warcraft, the
Yeah.
king leech was literally a giant slug.
Well, I'm just saying Jesus was a leech. That
Yeah,
checks
yeah.
out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Checks out. Yeah.
It created a whole bunch of them.
Mhm.
A whole bunch of leeches, right? Those living off of
both
others.
have a
Uh,
drinking blood, so that would be reasonable.
That is
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
That is a
yeah.
similarity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of blood in your cup never hurt, you know? I mean,
Alma,
Alma, how are you, Alma? Nice to
you're
have
right
you.
in time
Alma,
to talk
hey.
about the Dia de los Muertos.
I'm
Hey, how are you?
yeah, good.
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 Can y'all hear me okay?
You're
Yep.
cutting in and
It's-
out. But-
As long as nobody else makes any noise whatsoever, we could hear you.
I was in a town. I'm on a girls' trip right now, and the whole town turned into a zombie town. They have a zombie parade. They do zombie makeup on everybody. Everybody's learning the Thriller dance, and it's just so like the whole town is looking like zombies and doing
That's cool.
paranormal vendors and
That's so cool.
yeah.
Holy crap.
Oh yeah.
Guys,
I've been-
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have some bad news. I was just looking and I found something very interesting that is going to answer these things, and I think it's important for me to read it. So I'm going to start quoting this because I like how it starts. Look, nerds, Jesus was not a zombie. So this goes against what I just said. I see the internet has a photo running of it, and it's offensive. It's really offensive. And yeah, zombie costume, Jesus, and all of that. So see how true it is?
Oh, Jesus.
Any real person will tell you this, somebody who knows. This is to remember, Jesus was not a zombie. He was not mindless, nor did he consume anyone, nor was he a ghoul or a white or weak. Although his soul and intellect were intact, he was not a rotting corpse. He was not a vampire. While he transmutated wine into blood, he never drank it from a person. Jesus was not a ghost or a wraith. He was corporeal and still had his wounds. It is clear Jesus was a leech. So you're totally right, Tim. He was a leech.
He's
Jesus.
he's very fond of brains. You know, he does have this odd craving for people's brains.
Well,
Maybe it's just
yeah, I
me.
mean, they've got to be idiots to. Oh, never mind.
We can keep going with this.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Zombie-
actually,
bit that.
I am a vampire right now.
By the way, the explanation. A lich is created when a powerful magician or king striving for eternal life uses spells or rituals to bind his soul to an animated corpse and thereby achieves immortality. I didn't hear the ritual, but Secular says that there was one. Lichers are despised as being clearly cadaverous, their bodies still bearing the wounds they received before their death. Oh, he had them in the hands, okay? Liches often have the power of necromancy, which allowed them to bring the dead back to life. Lazarus, totally right, totally right. And I'm so sorry we cannot show here Feast of Jesus, but please, guys, if you have some time, go to YouTube and search for Feast of Jesus, and you will love that. 10 best minutes in your life, I promise you.
A buddy of mine, he had like a tattoo of Jesus, like really big on his arm. And when he was younger and everything, is still a Christian. And so when he deconstructed and everything, now he's got a zombie, the Jesus there. He just sunk in the eyes.
Your friend is awesome.
That's so great.
Good salt.
That's awesome, man.
So I've always been a very big fan of horror, and this time of year there's always a lot of horror movies, and it's like a binge fest of horror for me. But is there anything from what I'm trying to ask is anything from pop culture that has migrated into this Halloween festival? And I mean, it's very obvious in the way that people always dress as their favorite movie character. There's like every second kid is a Jason, every second kid is a Freddy Krueger, and it's strange how these things influence one another. I was just wondering if you guys have any experience with that bleed over of pop culture into real life, and how it influences this kind of holiday for you.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get like for instance, the newer version of It came out not terribly long ago, and so around that time there was a lot more creepy clowns and stuff. We had a lot more going on in that kind of vein. If there is a particularly popular Get Out and Us and all those other movies that Jordan Peele has done over the last few years, you'll get a couple of costumes from that and stuff. A lot of the
Wednesday from
Wednesday, yep, definitely Addams Family stuff, yeah. And then of course, there's a lot of stuff that just kind of stands the test of time, the old creepy myths and weird stories we've told ourselves for years. Yeah.
I mean, that's always the case, isn't it? That pop culture influences all the holidays and so on, and the mental images of things. I think about the perception of aliens as little green or gray guys. That perception didn't come until after Encounter of the Third Degree.
Yeah,
the Spielberg movie.
Oh yeah, Close Encounters. Yeah.
Also, like the depiction of witches, like the hat that Pain has.
Yeah.
That's
the Wizard of Oz, I think.
That depiction of everything that comes with a witch was mostly done in the time when women were trying to sell beer. So most of the sellers of beer will have those pointy hats so they could be seen from the distance. And they also have like a big Calderone where they will have like, brewing the beer.
Yeah.
And because of the guys who wanted to enter into the business and couldn't because they weren't as good as them, they were started to put that image of the pointy hat, the cat, because those women had cats because they have barley on their houses, so they wanted to get rid of mice. So all of that together, it was the image that ended up being a witch.
That's interesting.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. It's
I'm sorry, and I couldn't hear what you said.
What about the broom? Was the broom shooing away?
Yeah, because yeah, they were like cleaning their houses, so it was the broom. I mean, the entire outfit like was made to be a witch after a while, because they wanted to say, oh, they don't get sick because there is no mice in their house, so they don't get like the plague.
Oh,
So
Sure,
of
right.
course they are the ones causing it.
They're probably drinking a lot of beer at the time, which was probably one of the only sources of clean water, because they were actually boiling out all the bacteria and stuff to make the beer. So yeah, that probably did help with just kind of in general keeping them a bit more sanitary, which could lead to, oh, they never age, they never get sick, but they can poison everybody else, yeah, that's interesting. That's cool. Yeah, just another fun way to demonize them.
As somebody said, Dragon in Genesis, the point you had was so they could be visible when they were working on the street, so they could see, you could see where they were, and boom, there. I love the information that Alma brings. By the way, Alma, how is Halloween and Dia de los Muertos joined in Mexico over there? Is there like a mixture right now? Are they still separated? We were talking about that, and I was calling you, and you were not here. It was sad.
Well, the Day of the Dead is in a different day, so it's after Halloween. So that's why there is not like you have to choose one of the other. So people usually where I live, they do both, because there is a lot of Americans in here. There is like a big community of American people in here, so they celebrate the 31st, the Halloween. We have like a parade. Everybody goes to the main street in this area, and everybody goes in costumes, and they have like a great old time. And then the next day, the government makes like another parade for just the Mexican culture, just the Dia de los Muertos, the flowers, the food, the altars. All of it is on the next day, and the main town square in here.
And it's really not about, like, it's not a fearful kind of holiday, whereas Halloween is. Can you tell us a little more about that kind of reverence and respect for the dead, as opposed to like, oh no, ghosts?
Exactly. Well, the Day of the Dead is very different from the Halloween, and because what you're celebrating here is not basically like the gory or the blood or anything like that. You celebrate the life, the people who was in your family before.
It's
The
like
whole thing of
a
putting
day
the
of
altar.
remembrance. Yeah.
Placing the altar, you have to place the pictures of your relatives who died recently, or who has been dead for a few years now, like your grandparents, uncles, cousins, and everybody who is in there. In the Mexican culture, they are supposed to come back that day to visit, and they are not supposed to come back just to scare people. They're supposed to come back to celebrate with them.
Right.
It's like having a family dinner with everybody who's already gone.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, I don't believe that. My relatives are coming back to see me or anything, but I like the idea of a day where, we sit around, we talk about past family members. That's kind of cool.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Even if you don't believe like in that tradition, I think the way that a lot of people do it is just like you sit around and talk about, oh, you remember this uncle, how funny he was, the things he did, and or what grandma used to say, or I miss how she used to cook, and everything that was around their life and how it was so dear to us. That's what we celebrate on the Day of the Dead.
Right. We have the same kind of. It's not necessarily like on a set day of the year, but there's also in some traditional African cultures, there's a deep veneration for ancestors, and people believe that the ancestors are like omnipresent spirits that guide and shape your life. So it's a very interesting thing that you find in many cultures. That people have a sense of remembrance, or they remember the lineage that they try to trace back. Very, very interesting observation indeed. But yeah, it just occurred to me, here in Africa, every day is fucking Halloween. Like we wake up shit scared and we go to bed shit scared. You guys ain't got shit on Africa.
That's right. 364 days of the year, we're chilling. Just the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
in Mexico,
even,
we have cartels and everything. So yeah, we're not really scared of the dead people.
And even then, I feel like we've so Disney-fied Halloween. Like the majority of the costumes are Elsa from Frozen, or like an inflatable dinosaur, or just things that it's just for fun now.
Right.
Yeah.
But it still keeps some of that fear, because that's the reason why they do trunk or treats, right? Is because of the incredibly low probability of somebody, in putting a razor blade in anything without being detected. How you do that, nobody seems to be able to demonstrate, and those kinds of things. Putting, wasting drugs in candy and stuff like that.
Nobody likes your kids that much. Nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for the word wasting. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Doing that.
Right. But that's literally why trunk or treats got started, right? Because you can trust the members of your congregation, but you can't trust the general public. There's another way to create that us versus them type mentality, right? I remember when hospitals used to open up and offer to X-ray bags of candy for kids.
Oh my gosh.
And there'd be that predated.
When was that?
Yeah, late 80s.
Okay.
You can still go to there are a lot of police precincts that will advertise that they will look through your child's candy if you want, and you can just bring it into there and drop it on the counter and they just search it. So
right.
Yeah.
And I don't know
they
about
have
y'all.
to eat some of it, but
yeah, and I don't know about y'all's area, but in my area, the churches go all out for trunk or treat. Like some of the mega churches have 10 plus inflatable jumpy houses. Wow. And you just have to think that's got to be thousands and thousands of dollars, and that's money coming from the congregants. Like it's
right.
Yeah,
that's how you're spending your money celebrating Halloween in your own home.
That's actually a really great segue into this thing I want to say real quick, because unfortunately I have to go soon, but I never will let an opportunity pass for me to shill some things. So this is the Global Atheists, if you're not aware already, folks. And if you've never hung out with us before, you can see on screen right here, right now, that we actually span quite a range of the globe. And we've got a lot of other really wonderful people that, work with us both on camera and behind the scenes, or just hang out with us in chat. And a friend of mine recently from another part of the world made me aware of a really, really cool opportunity to help out another one of those global atheists. So there is this wonderful person named Dolly, which is not her real name, for privacy purposes and security, who has for many years been on the front line fighting for LGBTQ rights around the world, as well as atheism and critical thinking, skepticism, all the great things that we really value here. And if you look in the chat right now, there will be pinned a link to a GoFundMe to actually help Dolly be safe, help her be able to continue doing this in a place where her life literally isn't on the line every day. So this is something, we care very much about here. We want to make the world a safe place for atheists. And I mean that, the world a safe place for atheists, because, if there is a single place in this world where you can be thrown in jail or murdered in the streets because you don't believe, then not a single one of us is safe, you guys. So if you can, please donate. We are already a 10th of the way there. This is an incredibly achievable goal, you guys. We are looking for $2,500 in total to help get Dolly out of the Republic of Georgia. She has been able to get out of Egypt, which is where she started from. And so we are getting better with every step. Now, I know some of you are going to look at this and you're going to say, you're trying to bring her to Texas. And I understand, okay? But this is an incremental thing. It is a progression in the right direction, you guys. Please, 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 if you can, help get Dolly to Texas. Help bring her to a safer place. If you cannot donate, of course, we completely understand. Please just share this out to everybody that you know. Let's do this. We were already a 10th of the way there. This is an incredibly achievable thing. Okay. So thank you all so much. And I'm sorry that I have to bounce out after, such a heavy thing, but I love you guys so much. And this is one of the greatest crews I think that is assembled out there. We have such a wonderful group of people here. Again, that spans the globe, and that's pretty awesome. So thank you guys. I love y'all.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know Dolly
man.
from.
Oh, hey, Mark.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Hello, fellow
You
apes.
look so cute.
Oh,
We
yeah.
are apes. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say the work that Dolly and them do with Atheist Republic as well is it's incredible. They basically they are the guys that are on the front line, and it's not a very friendly and welcoming environment that ex-Muslim scene can get very hairy at times. So whenever I hear of Dolly and the guys on the ex-Moose side, I just go like, fuck, you guys have big balls. Because I mean, they do this literally at the threat of their own safety and their own lives. It takes a lot of courage, and I'm here on my little corner of YouTube with my big mouth, mouthing off Jesus and Jesus crew and whatever, feeling like a big honcho. And then I see the work that people like Dolly and those guys do in that space, and it's humbling. It's very humbling, and it renews my hatred and my distaste for religion and the harm that it does to people every time I encounter that space. But I digress. We're here to talk about Halloween, and for us uneducated in the custom, is there anything that you remember, like have very fond memories of this holiday as somebody who celebrates it on an annual basis? What is, when you hear the word Halloween, what comes to mind first? Is it the nurse's outfit that you've got stashed in a box in the cupboard? What is the warm and fuzzy thing that comes to mind first?
Well, I'll start. It's very much an American tradition. Like even in elementary school, usually there's a day where everybody dresses up. So I feel like it's so deeply ingrained in our culture. I was surprised to hear it's only, less than 100-year-old tradition.
No way.
And then, or according to what Teo was saying earlier.
Yeah.
And then I would say it's also something to where it has been minimized, or at least in my area, they try to make it not scary at all. Like you don't even wear masks, don't have swords, like don't be too gruesome. You don't want to scare the little kids. You do it when it's still daylight outside. Like they really sucked all the scary part out of it. And I remember even when I was a kid, I had very religious family members, and I remember my cousin asking me, "Do you celebrate Halloween?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, so you're Catholic?" And I was like, "No." But I guess she had been told by her church, like, no, you can't dress in costumes. Oh, that's a Catholic. They do that, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Wow.
Those evil, wrong Catholics.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
here,
it.
here in Mexico, no, we didn't. Like, if you live in Mexico City, you don't celebrate like Halloween at
Right.
all. It's very rare. And they might be a party or two with friends, but it's rare. But what we did have during the Dia de los Muertos is that we have the tradition of giving kids money instead of candy, as what we call the calaverita. So the kids go around to business, to houses, wherever you can find a kid. They will ask you for the calaverita, and that's it. That they could go and buy whatever candy they wanted.
Is that a
So
pumpkin?
yeah, they will have a little bag, and not necessarily a pumpkin. They will have a skull, like a plastic skull. They will sell in there, and the kid will go up to you and say, "Oh, ma'am, sir, can I have my calaverita?" And you will have to give them. It doesn't matter if you give like 1 peso, 5 pesos, whatever. Just give a couple coins, and they will go in their merry way.
That would never work in America. We're too conservative, and they do not like handouts. That's
Oh, that's so funny. Take me, kids. Go get a job.
Exactly. That's what they say.
That's funny. You know, I really love the aesthetics though of the Dias de los Muertos. The art and the colorfulness of it. You know, it's a really, I can say, visual expression of the holiday. So I really love the art. For
example, the flowers has a meaning on the tradition. Like those flowers, you're supposed to leave a trail of the flowers from the entrance of your house all the way to the living room, because that is what's supposed to guide your family back to your house.
Oh,
Just cool. That's awesome.
So in Colombia, we're very devoid from anything like Dia de los Muertos at all. We just do Halloween. So my earliest memories as a kid were dressing up as a ninja, a Superman, Batman. So all the Hollywood superheroes were the thing.
Right.
So yeah, but the thing about Colombians is, and there's even memes about this, that we celebrate Christmas starting in September. So anything in between then, it's just like, something else. But like Christmas and New Year's are like the biggest things. So everyone's like looking forward to that.
Right.
That's starting to happen here in the States too, but that's more so that stores can extend their Christmas season and make more money than anything else. So yeah.
Y'all, speaking of which, have y'all seen how expensive costumes are? Halloween costumes? And everything's a la carte. Like, you got to buy the wig, and that's $20. And then you got to buy the outfit, and that's $40. And then you got the sword or the accessories or the makeup, and it can cost hundreds of dollars easily every year.
Gone are the days where the costume would be ripped, inside of 10 minutes because it was made so cheaply.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. Is they're more expensive, but they also seem to be better made than they were. And the no masks thing is, I remember not being able to breathe in a lot of those masks, right? Because they had the little tiny itty bitty little mouth hole there.
You'd be passing out when you
trick or treat.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, it sounds like it's just another stepping stone on that build up to the Christmas holidays. Because you guys have got Halloween, then it's Thanksgiving, then it's Christmas, and so it's like the stepping stone of holidays going.
In Mexico, we have what is called Guadalupe Reyes, that it means there is a bunch of parties since the 12th, that is the birthday of the Virgin of Guadalupe, until the 6th of January. That is the Day of Kings. So yeah, you can stay drunk the entire month.
Hey, that's the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
and hope you get a liver for Christmas.
Exactly. Get on that
It's
list.
just because after Guadalupe we have the posadas. That is a bunch of parties all the way from the 12th until Jesus is born. So
Jeez.
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to actually know, like, how did they decide that Jesus was born on the 25th of December? Like, was there like a hat with dates, or was there
It was because of the Roman celebration, the Sun Invictus. So they wanted to bring their Jesus in there, and they said, "Oh yeah, this God, this Roman celebration that you have, where you're celebrating the sun, is actually the same that Jesus, because he was born in this same time." But if you know about history and all of that, it was impossible for Jesus to have been born that time, because over there it's winter, so they would have died in the trip. And they needed to. I think it was like in July or something like that he should have been born. Mark, do you remember?
Yeah, when the shepherds would actually be out in the fields, would be there.
Wasn't it? I'm sorry, Jim, but didn't they they did like a retroactive celestial thing where they looked at when there was a star and something, and apparently that was also how they dated it, nowhere near the 25th of December.
No,
because they talk about the stars in the sky that the wise men saw, or some shit like that.
Actually, Mark, this is your time to shine, because
Mark knows all about this.
Yeah, I think that's all made up.
Made a whole show about this, so he can explain the star thing as well.
I think it's made up, really. I mean, there are lots of theories, hypotheses about that, but I think they're just pulling on a trope that very important people in ancient times were born on days where there was something in the stars, some sort of cosmic evidence that their birth has any major significance. So they're going to just say whatever they're going to say, what people here are going to want to hear.
I mean, it's the same thing like the darkness that went over Jerusalem after Christ died.
And Mark, correct me if
now explained as a solar eclipse. No, mate, that's not how solar eclipses work. Yes, people love that. Recently, we had the comet to be that was visible. In the ages, people, comet, bad things are going to happen.
Right.
And Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember us talking about on one of our episodes that, like, for the Egyptian leaders, when they were going to be inaugurating, for lack of a better word, a new pharaoh or a new leader, that they waited until the star of Sirius would appear, and that's the star that appears during the winter time around the December time frame, that's sort of like confirmation from the gods that they are in approval of this new leader.
Well, yeah, they timed the inauguration with the heliacal rising of Osiris, which would disappear in the horizon for about 70 days, and then all of a sudden would come up. So there was speculation like, oh, this is when the gods are being resurrected, and so it would also coincide with the flooding of the Nile for that season, and also the New Year. So there's in antiquity, lots of gods were speculated to have been given birth during special cosmic times and events.
Yeah, well, I mean, a god has to be special. They can't just be born in a stable alongside donkeys or something. I mean, there's got to be something special, I mean,
well, virgin birth, it kind of overcomes the whole, very humble beginnings and a virgin birth, and then a bunch of wise men finding them despite all the odds against it. all that goes in to make the birth much more special. And none of it can be proven, of course. So, which, ancient people didn't care as much about true stories as they did about the point of the story. So they were more than happy to embellish things and still consider them true stories, even though it may not have actually, that story may no longer resemble actual events that happened. So,
exactly.
Is it supposed to symbolize, like, is it a subconscious way to be like, look, the wise people worshipped Jesus, so that's if you want to be a wise person.
Have you ever told a story and like the 100th time you've told it, you kind of change things up because you figured out there's a better way to tell the story, and so you may stretch some things and do some things like that. That's all we're really talking about here, just on a longer, grander scale, right?
Yeah, and I mean, especially if I reflect on the African context of things, like we are a continent of storytellers. We a lot of the tradition and the culture and everything is passed orally from generation to generation, and I can only imagine what the original story started off as. It must have. Nowadays, you end up with like magic snakes giving birth to the universe, and people were coming from baobab trees and shit. So you can imagine what the original story was. That was crazy.
And
true.
To me, it was like a very fascinating to see. Like example, Jim, you were Catholic, right?
Yes.
But I am sure that because you were in the U.S., you don't know the Catholic traditions here in Mexico. And even though we were like Catholic, it's not the same thing.
I don't even know what the Catholic traditions are of the East Coast. Yeah, I don't even know the Catholic traditions of the East Coast, right? Of the U.S. Because, and I say that because the East Coast is probably the has the most immigrants from specific countries in specific areas. So the Italian immigrants have their own traditions they brought over from Italy, but today those may not be the same traditions as actually practiced in Italy anymore, for all I know. But yeah, the Catholic traditions vary from country to country, and sometimes even within regions of that country as well. Yeah.
Like, do you know the story of the Virgin of Guadalupe?
It's familiar. She appeared to some kids, made some prophecies that came true, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. She was appearing in a hill, and she said to this guy Juan Diego, like, "Oh, come here, and you will find roses, and a place where roses were not like grown at any point." And he found the roses, and then he put it on a blanket that he had with him. And once that he showed the roses to the priest, immediately in the canvas, in the blanket that he had, there was the image of the Virgin Mary in there. I got painted by the roses somehow.
Jeez. Okay.
Right. And the blanket is nowhere to be found anymore?
No, it's supposed to be there in the Basilica of Guadalupe.
Okay.
But now we know who painted, but we just ignore that, and then it appeared magically. Yeah.
That was when God was experimenting with different mediums and in different art form styles. So he just decided, like, let's try rose petals on bedsheet.
Well, the Catholic Church has a long tradition of faked holy artifacts, right? Bones of saints and all kind, skin of saints, eyeballs, all kinds of stuff that's been printed on the
crown of thorns.
Yeah, all of it.
Nails from the cross. I mean, as I understand it, one moment there were thousands of them.
There's probably about like 5,000 nails out there.
Yeah.
Took a lot.
Authentic, 100%. This was the nail.
And that is the Church of the Holy Foreskin.
Yes.
Come on.
What?
Several.
If only we were making it up.
Okay, but somebody needs to. What? What is the foreskin thing?
Imagine you're like, what church do you go to? I go to the Holy Foreskin Church.
No, I mean, At one moment, I don't know exactly when, but in, let's say, Middle Ages or even early modern times, there were several relics with the church guarantees us contained the foreskin they cut off Jesus.
Wow, really?
And that was venerated, several of them.
Several of them had it.
It was a lot of foreskin.
Wow. They divided it up. Wow.
Lately, the Roman Catholic Church has retracted quite a few of the relics, as in, that may be a bit silly.
A little bit. Gross.
But
yeah.
yes, relic was a big thing in medieval Europe and even modern, early modern Europe. I mean, it's only those bloody scientists that made fun of it, and the idea that it may not be true has, well, come about a bit.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is, at the end of the day, if you don't approach this with a skeptical mindset, if you haven't been conned, if you are brought up in an environment where you are told just trust it, it's true, and you don't have critical thinking skills to discern, what is reality and what is maybe a fabrication, I can understand why you would buy into these things and fall for these things. But for fuck's sake, can we as a species just please evolve beyond being this gullible? I mean, honestly, it's like...
Especially, I was reflecting on how weird it is that you're sending your children to door to houses that you'd probably be like, no, you don't know that person. Like, don't go to their house. But you're like, yes, let's go door to door at night. And like, you're demanding candy from these people, accepting it. It's just so strange. Like, you don't even know these neighbors and you're sending your kids to their house for candy.
Right.
I was never allowed.
Only to send it to your neighbors that you know.
Right. Oh.
Yeah,
I was never allowed to do that. My parents, we weren't allowed to celebrate Halloween at all. They had this idea that it was not, that it was like the devil's holiday or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So they just, we weren't allowed to even, no part of it. And a lot of times they would even have the fall festival or whatever. They would put it on a different day because they're like, oh, you're trying to trick Jesus by just calling it a fall festival, but it's on Halloween. You can't trick Jesus like that. He knows, so you got to do it on a different day. It was like that level of silly,
Oh, that's why.
The Jehovah's Witnesses also are like very against any of these traditions. So, and they actually tell you that if you bring anything to your house from them, you can bring a demon into your house.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
If only I could get a demon for company. Fuck's sake. My whole life, I've been like, what are you like? What is it my face? Why am I not getting it? Where's my demon? I want my fucking demon already.
It's too messy in there. They're just,
I want one, but I don't know if any of you have seen the series of Black Butler. It's an anime series, and the demon in there is actually a butler, and he does whatever this kid asks him to do. And he makes it like in 5 seconds. Like, I want one of those. I want a demon like that.
That would be a great demon to have. Yes.
It's so funny to see grown adults like still scared. Like, no, don't do that. Don't celebrate. And even like me, I didn't even go to my first haunted house until like 2 years ago, and it was so fun. I was like, oh my god, like I went my whole life being scared of these things.
Exactly.
Some of those haunted houses are really well decorated, and so went with a local Jeep group of mine, and I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to walk through and look at how well they had decorated and all they were doing, and everybody else was trying to sprint through the house, and I'm like, we know what's going to happen, right? We know there's going to be jump scares. That's all they can do. So you pick out the areas, you know where they're coming from, and who cares? Let's look at some of this stuff because they did a really good job of decorating it, and they keep it decorated all year round. They're just open during October for the haunted house. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's completely
I think
ridiculous.
we had a question from the chat that were saying like, but let me see if I can find it again.
Caganer.
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
So I looked it up.
What?
I know.
What's that?
Okay.
It's displays of men having a shit.
Right.
Caganer.
In the nativity scene, there's a character that's taking a poop that got famous.
What?
I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
Says the Caganer literally means the pooper. Traditionally, the figurine is depicted as a peasant wearing a traditional Catalan red cap, which tells me it's a Spanish tradition, and with his trousers down, showing a bare backside and desiccated.
That's the word for that.
Right.
I
That's
remember
awesome.
that we had toys like that, but what you did with them is that you light up a match, and then you put it on the bottom of the toy, and then something will come out.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Is that the origin of a skibidi toilet over there?
Is that pre-baby
This
alive,
thing
the
is-
pooping doll?
Yeah, the Caganer is kind of cool. I mean, the Wikipedia on it is fascinating. Many modern Caganers represent celebrities and authority figures by representing with their pants down. The Caganer serves as a leveling device to bring the mighty down. That's kind of a cool thing. Is fertilizing the earth, according to an ethnographer. Customary figure in nativity scenes in the 19th century because people believed that this deposit symbolically fertilized the ground of the nativity scenes, which became fertile and ensured the nativity scene for the following year. Huh.
Wow. That's wild.
Sounds like somebody thought it would be funny. Yeah. Somebody thought it was funny and it caught on.
It took on its own life. That's it.
Right.
Wow.
And now because we put it on YouTube, maybe it'll take off and it'll be even funnier and we can see it on some more nativity displays.
That's right.
Some of my funnest memories with regards to nativity scenes, because the whole neighborhood in Colombia would have a community nativity scene. The day like prior to it all being taken down, I would line it up with like firecrackers. There'd be like little homes everywhere, and I would just plant them and blow stuff up just for fun. It was crazy.
I think that I found an image of one of those. I don't know if I can share it here. It's a toy. It's a plastic, and it doesn't show anything. So let's see. Okay. Let me see if I can find it.
You can do it, Alma. I believe in you.
Sorry.
I was
Oh,
going
you
to
go.
see while you're pulling that up. Here's a costume. It's something I posted about a costume for.
Oh!
Oh yeah, that's
Historically
awesome.
accurate costume.
Oh!
A Salem witch. That's awesome.
This is the one. Let me see if I
What
can...
the heck?
Oh.
Why, Alma, why?
I need one of those on my lawn. That's perfect.
The one in the Wikipedia
How
link
can
is
I
actually
unsee
kinda
things?
funnier. Yeah, really.
That's wild.
Somebody give me bleach for my eyes, please. Thank you.
Right, well, we've been running for about an hour here, so I guess let's conclude this Halloween special that we are involved in today. And what I would like us to do is just to go around in anybody who's got anything coming up that they want to plug for us to go and check out. Please feel free to do that. during your turn. And let's start over to my left or right. I don't know. I'm confused now. Alma, you're up.
Okay, I am usually on Nuestra Experiencia Tea con Teo and Mark, and we have a section called Atheogesis where we talk about the Bible, and Mark helped us with the historical context. So everything's in Spanish, but it's very interesting.
Amazing. Thank you for joining us today, Alma. Jim, you're up next.
Yeah, so I'm back on the Atheist Experience on the regular again. In fact, I am on tomorrow with the Atheist Experience's philosophical powerhouse, J. Mike. So that'll be fun for tomorrow at our usual times.
Amazing. Down below, Rob.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say. I'm just here for the ride.
All good, 100%. Brindley.
Hey, yeah, I do a show called The Punk Apostate on YouTube. If you just go, if you just put Punk Apostate in the search thing, and tomorrow I'll have a special guest on, and we're gonna react to some, I think, Great Comfort, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a comedy show, and we react to Fundy.
Ray Comfort is Ahab's whale for you, Captain Ahab's whale.
Seriously,
lots of material there.
The Banana Man.
That's right.
That's the one.
Mijn vriend Hein.
Yeah. Enjoy Halloween and see you next time.
Amazing. And
yeah, I'm with Mark. We have a show, Apostate of Mind. We don't have an episode coming up just yet, but we're working on one. Mark, did you want to?
Well, we have lots of good content. Generally, we do anti-apologetic, textual criticism, Bible textual criticism stuff. The kind of things that the pastors would never really get around to even bringing up during church service. We talk about all the hard stuff. We do have something else exciting coming up soon, and that is, some of you may not know, we are also musicians. Pastor Ann is a composer, and we have a song coming up that she's composed. You want to tell us a little bit about that? Because it's coming up. We're currently working on the music video.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
It's very appropriate that it's in fall, because it's about the fall and just the idea of Adam and Eve and how the story's just mythology. So we're not broken. We're not born broken. That's just a story. And that's kind of what this song is about.
Very anti-gospel.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're very excited to combine both our worlds of like religion, criticism, and anti-apologetic stuff with the music world, and so we're so excited about that. So it's coming.
That's awesome.
Amazing stuff. Teo.
Bueno, si hablan español, sigan Nuestra Experiencia TEA. If you speak Spanish, follow Nuestra Experiencia TEA. Tomorrow, I'm going to be all day long. I will start reading the Book of Mormon and explaining why it's fake. Then I will go with the Bible with Mark explaining why it's fake. Then I will go with the Quran with Anton explaining why it's fake and the problems in there. And I have just decided that I'm going to end tomorrow with a Halloween special during the live streaming that we do every Sunday. So, if you speak Spanish and you want a community, please join us. And if you want to learn Spanish, I will be there waiting for you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, guys. You've been a splendid panel. My name is Dean. I run the South African leg of the Atheist Republic's consulates. We have a YouTube channel. We do interviews with atheists from Africa. So if you are interested in news and input from an African perspective, please feel free to search for us on YouTube. We do programming in 3 different languages, which alternate every week. So, thank you very much for joining us. And I would like to just read us out with a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, who says, "He who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze for long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you." Have fun, stay safe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
And don't blink when the abyss look back.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for all your support. That goes for all our patrons, those that give super chats, our sponsors, contributors, volunteers, the producers, hosts, and viewers like you. Have a safe but good Halloween.